All right, here we have another best of three series played out in the Goblin Cluckfest #5 mission from God last weekend. And this is Infernal versus Infernal in our red Infernal here. We have NightEnD. NightEnD being an ex-StarCraft 2 and Warcraft 3 player. If I remember correctly, he played Protoss in StarCraft 2, though he said on his stream he wishes he had played Zerg. And he was an old Undead player, if I recall, as well. And I am an ex-Undead player from Warcraft 3 22 years ago. And so that gives me some affinity to NightEnD. Again, he also plays Infernal just like me. So one of my favorite streamers to watch. Go check out his stream. And his opponent today is going to be msrm in the blue Infernal. And both of these players are strong European players. msrm is Polish, but I don't remember where NightEnD is from exactly. But I do know he's from Europe. msrm, I don't think streams. At least I haven't seen him streaming. But I certainly would watch his stream if he did. He's a very exciting player to watch. As he very excitingly just cleared out his creep camp there, his hell camp. And we can see that he is just a little bit ahead of NightEnD, but NightEnD is going for the Gaunt play. And msrm has gone for Brutes. So these are just two different viable openings for Infernal. I think some players will maybe say no, Gaunts are the only way to go. Brutes are terrible. Others will say no, Gaunts are too squishy. Brutes are the way to go. And I think that says a lot that there's maybe some balance within the Infernal faction that makes the mirror matchup open to more options. And this is different than, say, what we've seen in some of the other mirror matchups. Vanguard, for instance, for a long time was dominated by dogs, and now it's starting to become hedgehogs instead. So again, maybe still trying to find a balance within the faction so that the faction has different options when playing against itself. And then Celestial 2. Although I think the Celestial meta has changed more. At first it was a lot of just Argents versus Argents. And now I think we're getting different types of, but still maybe massing a single unit like sides, I think is becoming more common in Celestial versus Celestial now. But again, we see NightEnD just committing to these Gaunts while it's a Fiend. Oh, we do have a couple Gaunts now coming out from msrm. And even when you do open Brutes like this, it's very common to start adding Gaunts after in this matchup. It depends what your ultimate plan is, but often the late game or mid to late game, you're going to have a lot of Gaunts. And let's see, he does have a Ritual Chamber almost done for msrm. What about NightEnD? That is a Conclave, but there's a Ritual Chamber. Slower timing for the Ritual. So even though NightEnD has opened with the Conclave and has a lot of Gaunts on the map, it's going to be slower on the Plague Axis. And this is actually one consequence of opening early Gaunt. What do we have here? 2, 4, 6, 8 Gaunts. That's 100 Ethereum right there. And 100 Ethereum, that's the cost of your Ritual Chamber and your upgrade. So while NightEnD spent that 100 Ethereum on the Gaunts, msrm spent it on the Ritual Chamber and I assume, the Plague Axe upgrade. And is now able to spend the additional Ethereum that he's mining after that first 100 on Gaunts, and now has Plague Axe Gaunts. He's only got 4 with his army, of course, but he's got Plague Axe Gaunts, whereas NightEnd's Gaunts, he's got many more of them. 10 of them are still waiting on that Plague Axe upgrade. Now let's check the timing on his Plague Axes, which is still half done. If this battle happens right now, this could be in an advantage for msrm, but it's a lot of posturing at the moment, just positioning armies I think NightEnD knows he needs to buy some time. Although here we go, we might have conflict. That Plague Axis is almost done. There's no effigies down yet. A couple Fiends dying. Of course, Fiends dying really quick to Gaunts. These Gaunts retreating back, and there we have an effigy. The Plague Axis was finished, and we see that Reaper's Rush started right away. And now these Gaunts are trying to push out, but luckily for MSRM, they're not on Shroud anymore. They're trying to retreat, kiting those Fiends a little bit. We got skulls going both ways, although one skull getting taken out. This skull maybe... Ooh, nice try. I like that micro by taking a few of the Gaunts to try and take out the skull. But it was just not enough DPS. I guess you need 3 maybe to take out a skull. Something I didn't know before, but now I can see at least 2 is not enough. And then one of those Gaunts going down, but it was not infested, so no Fiend coming out. Ooh, amazing Nightfall infestation on both of them, right in that choke. Slows going down, Infest going down. We see Fiends popping out here. And unfortunately for NightEnD, he's going to have to retreat. The Fiend Snowball went in the advantage of MSRM there. Probably just because getting that Nightfall infestation down earlier. A nice effigy, managing to get a few more infests. There is a Wraithstone here that's going to be actually really helpful in this hold. If indeed NightEnD can hold. And yeah, MSRM just starts retreating. Seeing the Wraithstone, that means 2% damage to all your units every second. And while you stand there, if you stand there for half a minute, you've almost lost over half your health there for every single unit. So it looks like MSRM was thinking to maybe circle around. There's a Wraithstone here as well. NightEnD has some really good defense there on his bases, and now we have MSRM trying to reinforce his own third base here, get some defenses up as well. We got a vault as well as 2 meat farms and a Shroudstone. That's sort of the kind of pattern I go for as well. The farms there just to try and defend that Shroudstone a little bit with the Fellhogs. And NightEnD is actually going for a 4th base while re-creeping out here. And it looks like, is that 2 conclaves? Is that a 3rd? No, we got a vault now going here. Ooh, that bug is kind of annoying. There's our other conclaves and vault, okay. And we just got some static D going up to defend the 4th. And now pushing out to the Vision Camp to, again, taking these respawned creeps while, again, trying to regain a little bit of that map control. A couple Fiends here trying to steal the Luminite Tower. Vision Camp going down for both of them. And it's lots of Gaunts with some Brutes, and it's lots of Gaunts with some Brutes. So we're kind of doing the same thing, although here we go, walking into a Shroudstone, fighting some of these Fellhogs. This is exactly what those farms are for. Buying time for the army to get there. Nice Nightfall infestation going down. A Manifest Shroudstone going down on the high ground. NightEnD is having to retreat, manages to dodge that Nightfall infestation of MSRM, and is in full retreat. A few infested Gaunts unfortunately getting caught, but now turning to fight with a little bit, well, I thought there might have been a little flank there. Unfortunately, those units going down really quick, and again retreating into the healing. It's sort of an invisible healing circle down here on the low ground. The Vision Camp now being taken, and that should be enough for MSRM to see, hey, there's a base I can go harass up there, and that looks like what he wants to do. Although seeing the pressure from NightEnD, instead decides to turn and fight. Lots of Brutes on the front line for MSRM. That's just going to be good tankiness. And hopefully they have that Soulforge Ascendance upgrade, which unfortunately does not show at the moment. Does it show up in the armor? No, I can't. I can't tell. Yeah, it's all bugged out right now. They might be upgraded, they might not. They're just extra tanky if they are, because they get that 10 armor. And again, these Brutes pushing the army of NightEnD back. The Brutes are starting to get a little bit low, but we're seeing more reinforcements arriving for MSRM, which includes a Magmadon and some Weavers, or a Weaver, I should say. We hear War's death cry as that effigy goes down with extra dramatic effect. I almost wish they don't change that. They could turn the volume down a little bit. It's kind of loud, but kind of funny if you ask me. It makes me think those effigies like are little souls. Like the infernals just summon somebody's soul. And he's like, oh, send me back. Here we go, another battle, an effigy going down for NightEnD. That means the Infest was in his favor for a moment, but MSRM is pushing into that Shroud. Now using that for his own advantage, although taking it out, putting down his own effigy, and managing to get it on the Shroud before the Shroud disappears, so that it is permanent. It looks like there's going to be a couple of yanks. There's a yank on Hellborn, there's a yank on a Mag, although the Mag's now sitting in the back, just kind of happy as a clam. Well, now he got taken out, and this army just keeps pushing up. There's a Hellborn, doesn't appear to be upgraded yet, managing to get some damage. There are reinforcements coming from the bottom side here, which is a little bit of a flank, and if they can get a nice concave on those rear units, they might be able to make a difference. And sure enough, MSRM just repositioned so that he was no longer separated. He's sort of one army. And at NightEnD, unfortunately, fighting at the top of his ramp here, is having little trouble getting a good concave. That Magmadon chased all the Gaunts back up the ramp, which was enough for MSRM to get up the ramp himself. Two new Magmadons show up, and they're doing a lot of splash damage on those Fiends and Brutes there. I like that he didn't push them all the way into the Gaunts. If you push all the way into the Gaunts, it's easier for them to get focused down. And instead, they were just sort of tanking a little bit. But MSRM deciding, I like that. Clearing the trees, making it a little easier to get out there. These Fiends surrounding, if you do a trample while they're doing that, you can get a lot of damage while you're still retreating. Not sure if trample was on cooldown for that Mag, though. We got a dragon being added now. Again, this effigy that was put down earlier is permanent. It means it also has 200 HP, so it's a little harder to take out. And more skirmishing around this health camp. We have the Plague Breath going down, so we don't need that Nightfall infestation anymore. Is that what it's called? Plague Breath. Yes, Plague Breath. Okay, and we've got Lash on the Mags, but the Mags they're too much. They use their trample ability and push those Gaunts all the way up against the Conclave. Poor Gaunts just getting trampled up there. We can see some Chomps going down. Yeah, to get some white health. That one Mag being hit. There's a dragon flying over above. There's pretty nice concave from the Gaunts. They could just get some traction. Unfortunately, a lot of them are stuck fighting Fiends, fighting these Mags. That means they're not going to be able to spawn Fiends of their own. They want to be on top of the Gaunts, really. Mags now pushing them back and forcing a split. That's just allowing these units to get a little extra time focusing that Mag. Another Mag appears, but immediately lashed and stunned out. It gets focused down as well. Another Mag coming out of this vault, so it's getting on top. Unfortunately, they're not upgraded. We don't see any stuns going down, but that Mag might be enough to cause this snowball. More Gaunts showing out from NightEnD. Plague Breath going down on them immediately, but the dragon has to retreat, as well as a few of these Gaunts trying to get away, but it doesn't look like they will. And a ton of Shadow Flyers just showed up. I thought I saw a dragon for NightEnD as well, but no, it was a flock of Shadow Flyers. And well, reinforcements of MSRM have met up with the dragon. They're deciding to turn and fight. There's a lot of Mags there, and they immediately get a lash down on the one Mag from NightEnD. And Mags versus Gaunts, that's not really a great fight for the Gaunts. Unless you can do some good kiting. Do we have Raging Tendons? We do have Raging Tendons, so they are speedy. I don't think they're quite as speedy as Reaper's Rush Gaunts, but they are definitely able to maneuver a lot better and won't be that easy to kite. Shadow Flyers zoning out forward, just try and see if they can spot that dragon. Get maybe a cheap free hit on it if it's out of position. MSRM is added to this static D here. He's also returning back to take out his vision camp. When I have mags with my army here, I usually stomp down those trees. And I think maybe going back for a little bit of a creep tour. At this point, what we haven't noticed is that MSRM has expanded down here. So MSRM is on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bases, although this base is mined out. And NightEnD has not taken a 5th base yet. And normally, if I was taking a 5th, it would be here. We see here. Yeah, these imps are now deciding, okay, we're expanding up to this north one since... I'm not sure if he scouted this base, but look how much static D is going down here. I love it. And here we finally get a 5th base going down for NightEnD. And it looks like MSRM's, yeah, as I said, doing a creep tour. And a creep tour out of NightEnD as well. NightEnD just going for a ton of weavers. Ton of weavers. Basically saying those mags, I'm going to try and counter them with the weavers. Although there's a lot of mags here. There's 7 mags. And where's that weaver ball? Oh, we have more than 7 weavers. That's 8 weavers. That's enough lashes to lash every single mag, stun it down, and start focusing it. And as an Infernal player, I really love that, you know, weavers have become an important part of our meta, but also as an Infernal player that plays other Infernals, and I like to play mags, I'm like, nerf weaver, please. Because the weavers, unfortunately, I know it's probably been more painful for Celestial and Vanguard players playing against them. But they really do an effective job of neutralizing a lot of high tech, and then they're also so tanky that if you are like, I'm just going to focus down some weavers before I engage with my high tech, that's just, it's not really viable. So there's not a lot of options to go against weavers other than air, and we are seeing a lot of air out of Celestials and to a lesser extent Vanguard, I think, in the matchup against Infernals to deal with that. So both players have moved into more passive expansion move, although we do see a dragon harass, a dragon and Hellborn harass going on down here. I love this type of late game harass. In the late game, I just march 4 Hellborns up to your base with a dragon, and that's how I'm going to try and deal with it. Although we do see this army trying to come back, but MSRM is saying go for it. I am fully fortified in this position. We have some... I thought those were flame imps. They were not flame imps. They were fiends that were lit on fire by some molten touch. There we had some shadow flyers that looked like trying to come take out a dragon. I'm not sure if it did because there's still a dragon here at full health. Another a nice manifest shroud still going down. Trying to get on top of those Hellborn, but no, this is just a nice little harass. The shrine actually went down. And just this amazing little split out army here. Saying, engage into me. And meanwhile, he's got another army over here, which could be doing some pressure, knowing that NightEnd's full forces are over here. Having already taken out this base, retreat back to your own, you know, wall of shroud stones here, and then push out with the rest. Now, where are these imps going? These poor... Okay, they're just on the long hike around or something. Okay, I don't like this for MSRM. Those Hellborn need to get back somewhere a little safer. We see a Wraithstone trying to go down here, but these Shroud Stones are not long for the world. And what happened to the rest of his army? Still just chilling over here. I don't know about this. This army's trying to just come in and do full-on damage here. We get one Hellboard lashed in. The dragon is being zoned back by the Shadow Flyers. We have a few brutes showing up over here to get in the battle with a brute and a gun. I love this. Just a little skirmish down at the bottom. Meanwhile, the whole army's pushing in, trying to get on top of these shroud stones. We don't have a real army down here. We just had that kind of skirmishy army down here, and a lot of these high-tech units. What? Some of those units weren't attacking at all. I don't know what's up with that. I think that's the hold position bug. If you hold position, they won't attack for some reason. That's terrible. And unfortunately, these forces and static D for MSRM are going down. And NightEnd's army is just a huge map. Look at all those fiends that have spawned. Unfortunately, being able to pick off that army a piece at a time meant that just a ton of fiends spawn out of it. We see NightEnd being up almost 100 supply now. A full retreat from MSRM. And what appeared to be kind of a cool split army strategy to maybe put pressure becomes now really a failing strategy, as his army was so far out of position that this whole base went down almost uncontested. The army that did contest it just switched sides, turned into fiends for the enemy. Now here we have all those mags finally getting in, on top of everything, trying to push all the way back to the Hellborns. Really kind of dangerous because they're now inside of all those weavers. They can get focused down, and we see them dying pretty quickly back there. But this has allowed MSRM's front line to push into the weavers, and a lot of those weavers have gone down. There are still a bunch of Hellborn in the back for NightEnd, just raining down Molten Touch, and we just see so many units on fire here. So many fiends spawning from those gaunts as well, and we're just, unfortunately, not enough for MSRM. And for a moment there, it looked like those mags might be able to get it done. But unfortunately, we're just seeing the last breaths of this Gaunt and Weaver army. Still a dragon up top for NightEnd. 5, 6 Hellborn in the back. Remember, those Mags tried to get all the way to the back to get on top of those Hellborn, but ended up not getting any of them. That's what I mean about when you stomp your Mags in. I think it might be wiser if you don't have overwhelming forces, don't go all the way in. Stop at the front line. Just stay on the front line and zone, and that way you can be a little bit more tanky for your back line. Looked like just some reinforcing units being caught out here. But for NightEnd, even though he's still got an economy going and he's still got production, I feel like he's... Actually, we missed something that went on down here. This base has been taken out. So maybe that reinforcing army did decide to do a little bit of a base trade there while losing his base up in the north. So maybe that means there is still a chance for MSRM to get back in this. Although I still think, okay, so they're both mined out of their main and their natural. So they're both operating on these second two bases, having their third base being taken out. But yeah, I guess maybe we're kind of equivalent here in terms of economy. What we're not equivalent in is army supply. So even if that split army option did manage to get a wipe on this base, NightEnd's army has been in one giant ball for the whole time, and it's just been able to stay a little bit more alive. Again, preserving those Hellborn is just really helpful, and we now have a pencil crayon shooter, and these, yeah, the Hellborn plus that V5 rocket is just enough to almost one-shot these Shroud Stones and Wraith Stones. We do have some units coming from MSRM up here. There's a dragon and some Gaunts, but again, so many Hellborn. I think it's going to be a slow push here into this bottom base. The rocket launcher actually being taken out. And just repositioning from NightEnd, I guess. Being a little unsure. These fiends trying to find out where did that army go. We got 2 dragons here for NightEnd, as well as a dropship. And the Fiends up here, managing lots of Fellhogs here to take them out. But what's happened is mining's been stopped here, as on the low ground, the Imps would be caught from the Hellborn. A small push forward here to try and take out some Static D, but there's a lot of Fellhogs, and the Dragon comes to zone him back. These Fiends just need to be cleaned up. And we watched as that node got was depleted, and so that's that third base depleted. Now we're getting close to mining out. That dropship of NightEnD was used to take this island base, which is not a base that you often see an Infernal player taking. That's certainly a preferred base for Celestials. Now, this is sort of the last remaining base for msrm, although it looks like he has rebuilt this one. He's just got so many imps there doing extra work. These imps on 4 force back. And again, a very slow push from NightEnD, but his army is still managing to stay pretty preserved, allowing those Weavers to tank against some of the Static D means that he can keep some of the squishier units alive. So a lot of his units are pretty tanky. Only the Gaunts are kind of squishy. And this base going down, although it had mined out. So not a huge loss to the economy there. This is the main mining base for msrm, but we see this base going down again. I think msrm just hoping, okay, yeah, a tech switch to Spriggans, although there's just so many Shadow Flyers that doesn't seem like it's gonna work. I think the Spriggans were maybe the idea there is to pick off some of those Hellborn. These really slow Weavers might also get picked off. But yeah, all they need to do is turn and fight, and that's been the benefit of NightEnd's strategy this whole game, which is keeping his big ball of units together so that they help to preserve themselves. More Shadow Flyers out to try and take out the Shadow Flyers of NightEnD so that the Spriggans can get in and do some damage. Shadow Flyer on Shadow Flyer violence is really the worst kind. Should really stop Shadow Flyer on Shadow Flyer. All we see are Shadow Flyers dead in that exchange, okay? Why can't we all just get along? But now we're pushing into this last wall of... Actually, this is a new wall because the old wall was taken down before. And I think this is maybe going to be the final gasp. This dragon tries to do something. We're seeing a bunch of Shadow Flyers, but that's not going to take care of these Hellborn. There's only a few Gaunts coming with this, and yeah, it's a ton of Shadow Flyers. Whoa! But they don't get the dragon. The dragons managed to survive that Shadow Flyer assault. And look how many Fiends there are on the map now. That's a GG. The final supply, 285 to 30. Nice long game. Let's get into the second game. All right, here we are in game 2 in this Infernal versus Infernal. NightEnD here in the Red Infernal, taking the first game. And msrm in the Blue Infernal, having played really well in that long macro game, hoping to turn the tides and get a win in this game, force game 3. And we see an interesting build. We got a vault back home. We also got a vault out at the speed camp. And in opposition to that, we have a conclave. So just like last time, we have different strategies out of the 2 Infernal players. And certainly there was nothing in the early game of that last game that caused us to believe that, you know, one of these openings was better than the other. Because last game we had mostly macro openings and both players were able to, you know, keep up with one another despite going different strats. NightEnd's out creeping the health camp first, but MSRM is creeping the speed camp first, also with a farm here, and we now see the reason why that vault is here is indeed you can often start creeping right when that second vault is finished if you do a double vault opening. But if that second vault's back in your base, when you create that second brute, the brute has so far to go to get to where you're creeping that it's not usually a help in that first creep. Now we see that MSRM has split all of his fiends, all of his brutes, made fiends. He's got a ton of fiends. Ooh, that was so good. I'm not sure that was intentional, but that was so lucky. Those shadow massives getting all on top of the fiends of NightEnD, and MSRM actually getting on top of these gaunts with his fiends. Pretty much what he wants. Can he get the Hexen? The Hexen. Oh no! Oh no! Oh no! Who's gonna Hexen? Gonna go down for? Oh, both Hexens go down, but two gaunts remain, and I think that's the difference in these matchup. If this was before 0.1, all those gaunts would have gone down, and the fiends probably would have won that battle, and may have been enough alive to go and finish off the Shadow Massives too. But with the boost to the Gaunts, with the buff to Gaunts damage, especially against light, which Fiends are, the Fiends get shredded a little bit faster now, and Gaunts are able to better survive a Fiend surround, which is probably good for this matchup. Although maybe, you know, I personally kind of liked the balance before. It meant Brutes were a little bit better, but I think now it really means you have to engage properly. If you don't have the numbers, then you shouldn't engage. It's not just I got Fiends, you got Gaunts, so I'm going to win. Now, again, we see this. The Fiends getting a nice surround, but a lot of them going down. They're not really able to continue that push. They might have been able to get that last Gaunt, but the Brute there would have been a pain in the butt as well. Instead, running back to the speed camp, re-soaking in those juices, but then heading back out, looks like back to his side of the map to take out some creeps. Now, that aggression kind of was good in the sense that he's claimed the camp, got some kills, but I'm not sure the trade was in MSRM's favor. A lot of those fiends went down, and we're seeing a pretty good ball of Gaunts out of NightEnD. Now, another difference in their strategy here is NightEnD is still on one base, and Ritual Chamber is up, but did it complete? Yeah, Plague Axe is already completed, but no base. We have some fiends coming here to scout that base. Instead, they're gonna get into the main, and these imps are just gonna turn and fight. Some Fellhogs confused about whether they should fight or not, but no damage being dealt. And this base is already up for MSRM, so this is actually a good econ advantage. The only problem is there is an army of NightEnD on his doorstep, and there is a Shroud Stone. Okay, this could be bad news for MSRM. Do we have Greater Shrine? Yes, so that's usually what this Shroud Stone is telling us, is that this Shroud Stone is not going to do much. Of course, it could be a nice offensive Shroud Stone to retreat to in a push like this. But as soon as this Shroud Stone's up, we're going to see a Manifest Shroud Stone going down on the high ground. That's going to help DPS down the other Shroud Stone. Although we see a preemptive Manifest out of MSRM, I like that. Forcing the combat before this Shroud Stone is done and before another Manifest can come down. But there we go, a Manifest Shroud Stone down for NightEnD. And like I said, focusing down one of those Shroud Stones, it's already down. And now, but Reinforcement Gaunts from the high ground might be able to be the difference here, getting a slight little concave, a nice Nightfall Infestation going down on NightEnd's units. But just not enough. There's just enough of NightEnd's units here to push that army back. Those infests not really doing what they need to do, which was spawn fiends. Blue fiends is what we need, not red fiends. And this army doing well. Now, NightEnD can do another manifest once the cooldown is done. He has the Animus. Trying to focus down that Shroud Stone, but the army coming and pushing him back before he could. Wisely pulling back to his own Shroud Stone. And trying to maybe go up the ramp, which of course is super dangerous. That's asking for a flank. I think he wisely decided to stay on the low ground. And maybe pushing in again, although good army positioning from MSRM. Right behind the Shroud Stone.
An honorable end.
Alright, okay. So managing to get the army out of position with that going, sort of faking to go up the ramp, forcing the army to come back, and then sniping the Shroud Stone, and then forcing MSRM to attack into his Shroud Stone for a little bit. So NightEnd's kind of driving this combat right now by being right up on top of the natural, gets to kind of dictate. Now we see some brutes showing up from the left-hand side. Remember, that's where that proxy, well, proxy-ish vault is. So we're getting kind of a flank. One Shroud Stone being taken out, and then another Manifest Shroud Stone for MSRM. He's trying to break this contain, pushing into the other Shroud Stone. I'm not sure he's got what he needs to do it. He's going to lose some gaunts if he just focus fires that. Another brute with the flank, and NightEnD has to turn and fight it. These gaunts... Yeah, okay, now we have a Manifest Shroud Stone aggressively from NightEnD, and it's Shroud Stone on Shroud Stone damage, and while the Manifest Shroud Stone goes down, the Shroud Stone from MSRM is also taken out. And these gaunts are forced all the way back to their mineral line. A brute from the high ground comes down, but, well, we're getting fiends on both sides here. It just looks like more fiends coming out for NightEnD. And yeah, reinforcing gaunts also showing up for NightEnD, chasing those gaunts back to the ramp. The imps are also in retreat now, and now we're up into the natural, just trying to push these gaunts all the way back. This is going to be it for MSRM, just trying to fight as much as he can. His last gasp. This is his tournament life on the line. But a couple more gaunts popping out. What can he get out of a little micro here? Maybe he can get a couple fiends, but no, and it's really the other way around. That's a GG out of MSRM and an end to this best of 3.